So Cassius Cuvée, welcome to the Crypto Princess channel. How are you today?
I'm feeling great. Last night was 4th of July, and we had a long one. They're popping them off big out here in Oakland, but I'm feeling great this morning. Happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
So Cassius, it's great to have you. So Cassius, I always like to ask all of my guests, if I was to meet you in high school, what kind of person were you?
In high school, I was probably real athletic, but I also, I liked getting good grades and stuff like that. I always was I won't say a class clown fully, but I like to have fun. I haven't changed much since then in that respect.
What sports did you play?
I was big time in lacrosse. So thanks for asking that. I was actually captain of the team, one of the league's top scorers, went on to play in college.
Sorry, what sport is that?
Lacrosse. It's the one with the stick. My oldest brother, when he first discovered it, he called it a legalized ass whooping.
How do you play that? Because I've never heard of it.
Oh, really? Lacrosse is one with the long stick, and it's like kind of like hockey on a mix between hockey and basketball, because real physical. You can hit people and stuff like that, and you score goals.
Oh my God.
You can literally beat people with the stick. But I was on offense, so they was trying to beat me up when I was scoring.
Okay, awesome. It sounds fun. It sounds fun. It's not something that I'll participate in, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, you're gonna have to look it up. There's indoor and there's outdoor. Indoor is kind of like hockey, where it's in the ring the whole time, so the ball never leaves, and it's real rough.
So in 2020, it was a halving year in crypto. It was also the pandemic. We had people losing their jobs, people dying, a lot of confusion, a lot of businesses went under, a lot of lockdowns everywhere. That's the sort of time that you got into TradFi, wasn't it? Tell us about that.
Yes, in 2020, when there was a lockdown during COVID and the market crashed, that's when I started trading hardcore. I knew it was an opportunity when the market dropped, and that's when I had to get in. I had to learn most of it from people I met on Twitter, actually. There wasn't really anybody in my family who had been in finance before. And so I, got into different communities on Twitter, and that's when I really started trading hardcore, like day trading every day, stocks at that time.
And then 2021, you got into crypto. Tell me about that. How did you make the transition from TradFi, the traditional markets, into crypto?
Good question. So what happened was, I'm a recording artist, and I made a song, a music video about what we were trading called SPACs. It's a special, it's a segment of the stock market, special purpose acquisition corporations. And I made a rap song about it, and it went viral in 2021. So, we've been trading them all in 2020. When 2021 came in January, I wrote the song, made the music video. I dropped it first week of February. And then on Twitter, it kind of went viral. And by Monday morning on CNBC, they were playing my music video the day after the Super Bowl. And after that, everyone said that I should make an NFT. I didn't know what an NFT was. This is early 2021. And I didn't know what that was. And so I had to learn about blockchain to find out what it was. I already had heard of Bitcoin, but I didn't understand what gave Bitcoin its value, meaning I didn't know what a blockchain was. So once somebody explained that to me, that's when I got into crypto, trading, investing into crypto. It was in 2021 after my music video went viral.
Awesome. So just to remind people what was happening in 2021. 2021 was a bull run. We started off the year around about 30,000 US dollars. We went up to April 2021, where we hit a local high of 64,000 US dollars. We had the China FUD hit, and Bitcoin dropped 50%, and it ranged at 30,000 for a good couple of months. Bitcoins were taken off the exchanges, and the supply shock then led Bitcoin to make the actual all-time high in November 2021 at 69,000 US dollars. At this time, we had economic concerns. We also had the SEC come in and issue wellness notices to cryptocurrency exchanges and projects, and we naturally went into a bear market, slid into a bear market. Now, it was a whirlwind of a bull run. So you got in, you dropped your video in February 2021. Things were starting to go parabolic to the first peak. You started to learn about NFTs before you started to invest and trade. Is that right?
Correct. After the music video, when everyone was saying I should make an NFT, I had to look into how do I make my music video into an NFT. And I became the first recording artist to make a music video NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. I went to the Bitcoin conference in 2021. And that I only knew one person from crypto. It was the guy who taught the NFT class. It was only a few people in a room. And he told me he was going to the Bitcoin conference. When I showed him, the music video stuff, he's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. He was the one also telling me, yes, you should make an NFT out of this. And so then when I got to the Bitcoin conference, that's when I started meeting everybody else in blockchain and crypto in real life. So that's when I first really started learning about altcoins and, the differences in blockchains, because just by talking to members of the community and people I met at the conference. So that was when, and I had already started investing and trading before I got there. That was like in June, I think, when the conference was. But once I first learned about crypto is when I started trading it, started February, March, April. And then actually, no, I guess it'd be later after the NFT would be about April when I went to the NFT class. And then I just started trading and I dove right in. No one had to twist my arm. Once I was explained what blockchain technology was, you didn't have to tell me twice. I was all the way in crypto after that.
Mm-hmm. So what happened to the NFT and the music video? Were you able to turn it into an NFT? Did you sell it or what happened?
I did not sell. So I made a one of one. When we first started doing this stuff, there wasn't like the 10,000, people doing the 10,000 NFT, deals, all that kind of stuff. They were mostly one of one, treated like the Mona Lisa. I was an artist and people, Beeple had just dropped his NFT, sold it for 96 million. So I just made a one of one of it. We priced it really high. The guy who was helping me do it, it did not sell. It's actually available on Rarible though. You can listen to it and see it on there. I took it off for sale, but it's still on the Ethereum blockchain. I could put it back on sale. And basically, it was a thing that I was trying to sell at the time so I could donate the money to charity. And so it was priced awfully high. And what happened was when things started turning and people were making their own economies out of the 10,000 PFP projects and stuff, to me, it got a little bit away from the art at that point in time. It was more like they were just trying to make money flipping NFTs. And I kind of went in a different direction as an artist. I kind of never really go with the flow. That was when I started the idea for my own show, which we'll get into when I launched in 2022.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about your investing and trading journey when you started in 2021. It was a bull run year. We had the two peaks. You started in between the two peaks. You started in between the two peaks. How did it go? How did it go?
Well, it went well, right? So like you said, in between the two peaks was kind of the lows of the year. So after the Bitcoin conference is when I got a real education on altcoins because somebody I met at the conference, and I'm still cool friends with him, real good friends with him. And so once he explained to me kind of the differences of blockchains, the tokenomics and everything like that, I started buying a lot of coins. And I do mean a lot, everything from gaming tokens to L1s to L2s, all kinds of stuff. And just this is all day, all night. We're on the computers, on group chats, teaching me about the Etherscan, all sorts of stuff. And so, I was putting in, I don't know how many hours a day, just all learning blockchain, everything from metaverses to crypto domain names, everything. Right. And so that was like, I was sitting on kind of a lot of cash. I sold a bunch of stocks because I started getting into crypto and I was buying a dip on a lot of stuff. So then when the bull market came back in the second half, pretty much August, is when everything started pumping again in crypto. A lot of stuff I bought at the lows of the year, or at least the lows of the middle of the year. And they went up a lot. And then, obviously we talked about this, crypto market peaked in November of 2021. Not everything peaked at that time. Some stuff peaked in September, actually, some of the altcoins. But, I was in full believer once Bitcoin hit all-time high a second time. That's when I was like, okay, this is real. It wasn't just a blip. The fact that they broke the all-time high from earlier in that year, after, I heard a lot of FUD and stuff. I was new to it. I didn't really know. That's when I was like, okay, crypto is real. And so that's when I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. And so I liquidated most of my stocks and I started trading crypto after that.
Mm-hmm. So did you sell around about the second peak?
No, I held a lot of that crap to zero. There's a lot of coins that didn't do jack. But I sold some stuff. I was still a trader, but ultimately I was gearing up to start my show. So one of the things, and this is a horror story that I'm going to share with your audience so they know what not to do. I had put a lot of money into Celsius, which is, bankrupt, unfortunately, because I was like, I'll just earn yield. I'm a long-term believer in crypto. And they basically stole everybody's money. So not your keys, not your crypto, not your keys, not your cheese is a real thing. Always keep it in your own personal wallet. If you're going to do staking, I suggest you do it natively on the blockchain it's on and keep it in your own wallet, something that's self-custody for staking. So I just want to put that out there because I'm all about education and also trying to protect people from getting wrecked. That's what my brand, that's what Cassius Cuvée brand is all about. I'm trying to save you money. So I did lose a lot in that. But as far as being a trader, I always had my trading skills. It's just I kind of stopped trading for a while because I was starting my show, Poppin' Crypto, which I ended up launching in January of 2022.
Okay. We'll get to the show in a second. So after the peak in November 2021, we slid into a bear market. Were you aware of the difference between a bull market and a bear market? And when did you realize we were in a bear market?
That's a good question. So you got to remember, everything didn't just tank to zero in 2021, right? There's a lot of volatility in crypto in general. So even in 2022 still, we're talking about January, February, prices, they hadn't dropped significantly. There was actually a kind of a big pump around the time after I dropped my music video in 2022. That was the second music video I dropped. Actually, I went on CNBC again with another music video called I Know, which was about Bitcoin specifically. And so, it wasn't like the prices were down significantly by February of 2022. It was kind of after that when they started dropping, more like March. So I was still trading. I had started traveling a lot. I started traveling more. I realized going to in real life events is where I would meet the most people. And so I started traveling to a lot more events. I went to Art Basel in Miami in December of 2021. I went to the Algorand conference, Decipher, and I ended up extending my stay because it was the same week as Art Basel. So that's where I met a ton of people in December of 2021. I mean, it was like such a crypto town. I had my Bitcoin pendant. So everywhere I go, it's like everybody would see me like, oh, it's like a Bitcoin town. I was like, oh man, this is where I need to be. So I just found myself I started out solo there and I made dozens of friends people I still talk to today in Art Basel in December of 2021. And that's when I was like, I got to do this show. I had the idea for it and had a whole plan. So when I came back in January, it was like full boats ahead. I got to make sure my recording studio kind of got turned into a TV studio. I called up my homeboy DJ Lex. He's my DJ for the show. And then we launched it in January of 2022. One of my first guests was Guy Adami from CNBC.
Okay, tell me about that. What was the reason that you launched your YouTube channel? What gave you the idea?
Well, I originally started a YouTube channel because I was a recording artist, so I was putting out music videos, that kind of stuff. But when I kind of switched over to investing and trading pretty quickly because that's what I was doing. I mean, even as a recording artist, everything I do is every song I make is usually about my life, right? Well, my life is involved in trading and investing now, so naturally my music is going to be about that. And then when it got into crypto, naturally my music was going to be about crypto. And so the idea for the show specifically is when I started posting content probably more regularly. It was more like lifestyle stuff, going to events and stuff. But the idea for the show was because look, I can interview founders and CEOs of Web3 projects. I get to learn about them from the owner, from the founder. And then I also get to showcase my musical abilities because I'd write a custom song about each project and then I'd rap it for the founder. And then we would go into the interview. So it was kind of a fun thing. I'd never really seen anybody do anything like that before. I still don't know if anybody does anything quite like that as far as a show where you get a custom rap if you come on the Cassius Cuvée Poppin' Crypto show. And so, that was fun. I met one of my first guests on a rooftop party in Miami at Art Basel and, kind of just hit the ground running ever since then. I would have someone on every week or two and it was fun. I got to do music as well as have my show. In 2022, I went to NFTLA and the Bitcoin conference and I filmed the music video. It was just from footage, just from meeting people. And my song was called In Real Life because it was about meeting everybody in real life. And everything I say in the song, you get to see it from my cell phone footage going out to these conferences. And that video was kind of a lot of fun. It was kind of a big hit, kind of made all the influencers and stuff know who I was in crypto because, they're in the music video, a lot of them. So that kind of launched everything for me in 2022 as far as being known in the crypto space.
So I don't know much about music and making a song or a rap song. How do you put one of these songs together? How long does it take? What's the process?
Well, that depends on the artist. I mean, I've been doing music for a long time. So I don't know. It's not something that anybody can just sit down and do. I mean, I guess anybody can sit down and do whatever they want. As far as being an artist, I'm all for that. But for me, it depends on what's kind of inspiring me. So obviously, if I was having someone on my show, it's just a rap. It was a song, but it was it's not like I was making a whole music video. It was something I was performing live for them. That's a little bit of a different process than the music I just made, music video I'm making right now, where I was just in Hawaii, right? So I'm filming music video content. I kind of know what Like I know what I'm going to do based on whatever project I'm going to do. I don't drop songs every day. I'm not one of those people who's like, I have to have a song every week just because. Right now on my show, The Come Up, I do a weekly recap rap. So I'm inspired by what happened in the markets. When I have a guest on the show, I'm inspired by what their project is. When I was in real life going to events, I made a song about that. So the process is different for every song. Like I say, it's like my art is a reflection of my real life. I know a lot of people say that, but mine really is. So for me, it's whatever is happening in my life in the moment. And some stuff can get written faster. Depends on the beat. Also the music. If the music inspires me to have a certain cadence, a certain flow, a certain type of energy, that's going to inspire me. But it's honestly different on every song. If you listen to Cassius Cuvée songs, either on Spotify, YouTube, whatever, almost every song sounds different than the one before it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so on your channel, you used to interview founders of projects and people in the cryptocurrency, in the crypto space. How would you meet these sort of people? How would you invite them on?
Well, I met a lot of them in real life. I would go to the events. So that would be one of the primary ways, especially when we're in the age of so many scammers, so many fake emails, and so many people hitting you on Twitter and stuff. I still am a strong proponent of going to in real life events because people know you're a real person. And so most of them met them in real life, hung out with them, partied with them, talked to them at their booth, something like that. So they know they're real. I know they're real. And then there's a few that I did meet on Twitter. I met you on Twitter. There's a few that I did meet, by Twitter, YouTube, that kind of stuff. Some people, one guy I saw him on CNBC and I hit him up, I was like, yeah, I was on CNBC too. But usually, honestly, a lot of times it's just in real life meetups.
Mm-hmm. See, not many artists, independent artists, get onto CNBC and the other news channel that you mentioned earlier. I've forgotten it now. That's quite big, isn't it?
It's unique, that's for sure. I mean, it's fun. It's really funny to me personally. Like just as an artist, like you got to understand, I'm the type of artist that's like not like song is art, and music video is art. But for me, the art is the whole entire movement that is created by it. The whole entire process, the fact that you get everybody to look at something in a way differently than they normally look at it, right? I mean, I was on the cover of the Wall Street Journal for a rap song. That's a unique experience. And as an artist, an original artist, I like to do things that no one else has done before. So yeah, it was big. It was intentional, but it was also, it's funny, it's unique. It's a story I'll be able to tell forever because like I said, most people don't do that. It's not something you do all the time. I'm kind of one of those people, I pick my shots, I like to basically capture lightning in a bottle about a moment in time or an important instance that happened in my life, make a piece of art about that. It's kind of commentary on the moment. It's not even so much about like predicting what the market will do next as much as this is how we're feeling at this time. So there's a different outlet for it sometimes. There's a different platform that it'll get on, but I hope to make a splash every time I drop something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Tell me about the Wall Street Journal. This is actually quite big as well.
Yeah, it was funny because somebody's on Twitter is like, I've been in finance 30 years and never even made it inside the Wall Street Journal and you're on the cover. So SPACs were really hot at that time, right? There was things like SPACs, crypto, GameStop, Reddit. These were all kind of like us retail investors, right? The dumb money, they call us. We kind of were in these sort of veins of things. So, I was the SPAC guy, if you will. There was people doing crypto, Bitcoin, and other things as well. And so, it was kind of what was hot at the moment. Now, I had been doing it before it got hot, so I really did know like the crux and the nuances and the strategies. It wasn't just a hype train I jumped on later. That's why people gravitated towards the songs. They actually knew what I was talking about. So I don't really try to make songs. Like people would come to me and say, can you help me make a song about something? It's like, I don't really know anything about that. Mm-hmm. So like as a lyricist, sure, I could write anything. I've been doing rap for a long time. But I'm not going to have the same passion unless I really know what I'm talking about. So like, that's why I always make songs about things I know what is going on. So being in finance, like the Wall Street Journal picked up on the song and was like, okay, this guy knows what he's saying is actually applicable. So then I did an interview, of course, with the Wall Street Journal, and they put me on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. And, SPACs were really hot at the time. People were, billionaires were starting this mm-hmm. trend of bringing companies public by way of SPAC. And I mean, it had been around for a long time, but the trend of it had just kind of picked up in 2020 and then really in 2021. So, when Bill Ackman retweets you, people pay attention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what did that do for your YouTube channel and your other social media? It must have highlighted you a huge amount.
It did. That's a funny question. I probably had like 20 subscribers on my YouTube channel before I dropped the music video, maybe less. And, after I went on CNBC, I remember I checked my Twitter. I was like, whoa, it went by thousands of people, like still, I don't have that massive of a following on there. But yeah, I probably gained 2,500 people in one day or an hour or whatever, from 10 minutes, however long I was on CNBC. And then of course, yeah, whether it be different events or different, I perform and speak on panels and that kind of stuff. But yeah, being on Wall Street Journal, Instagram, I got a lot more followers from being on CNBC, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of 2022. So 2020 halving year, 2021 bull run year, 2022 bear market. Lots of things happen in a bear market. The price declines, and it did decline from November 2021 to November 2022. A lot of projects, good projects, not so good projects, do go to zero seamlessly overnight. We had, as you mentioned, Celsius, 3 Hours Capital, Voyager, FTX, Luna, all of these projects went down. It was your first bear market in crypto. You were having a lot of success with your YouTube channel, your social media, and then the other side, the investor trade of you, was having to deal with the bear market. How did you navigate the bear market?
Great question. So yes, 2022 was an exciting year in both directions for me, right? It started out with a bang. Again, the markets were still pretty high in January and February. I went on CNBC and dropped my music video. I know things were popping. Like I was doing my show, and it was about halfway through. Sure, the market was kind of inching down. I went to the Bitcoin conference and dropped the music video in real life. And then it was at Consensus. So Consensus in Austin, Texas, was that last week, I should say, right before things were still, the Terra Luna stuff had happened. That was like a project that people thought it was just, Poundsy or whatever. I flew back home that Sunday. We stayed up all night the night before with some folks I met down there. Flew back, and I get off the plane and I get the news about Celsius on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Everyone's Celsius account is frozen. I'm like, what? I'm immediately in the airport. I'm trying to check this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, because they pay the dividends on Monday. I was like, oh my God, are they serious right now? And that was kind of the beginning. I was like, the Luna was kind of a maybe you could say it was a signal, but Luna was a crypto project. It was when the lenders and the people who held everyone's money, Celsius was first to go. If they had not been first to go, I would have withdrew everything, because anytime I ever got any whim of maybe something such as a scam or maybe something such as a rug pull, I would just withdraw. I wouldn't ask any questions. I would just get it out. Celsius went first. Then it was 3 Arrows, and then it was the other ones. Even FTX was later. And unfortunately, I got caught with the first one, Celsius. I told everyone, get your money off exchanges, get your money off of anything that's not in your wallet. And everyone who would listen, I told, not everybody did. Unfortunately, even the people in my alpha group, it was a sad story. Some people lost stuff even afterwards. It was so obvious if this one lender went under, the others are going to go under as well. So unfortunately, I got hit with the first one. And then it was like a domino. I mean, things were happening every week after that, or a couple of weeks after that, right? It was like, this is the middle of the year now. And I still was going to events. Some events got canceled. Sponsors dried up, right? Everybody, remember, this wasn't just crypto. I want to make clear on this, because sometimes people talk about crypto being a scam or whatever. Well, the financial markets were tanking too. I mean, TradFi was tanking too. All the stocks that everyone bought in 2021 that were fads, they all tanked as well. Even PayPal, lots of stuff tanked. So it wasn't just crypto, but lenders tied up, sponsors ran out of money. It was all kinds of stuff hit across the board. And so I still went to some events. I went to Money 2020 in October of 2022. I knew it felt like I made a song called I Can Lead You to the Money, a music video I filmed at Money 2020. And I said, I think crypto is going to pop. I know we're closer from the top. I ain't saying it's the bottom, but we're closer than the top, something like that. And so basically I was like, man, you got to start DCAing, you know what I mean? And that was kind of what I was preaching at that time in fall of 2022, because I knew the markets had crashed hard all the way through the summer. And I just said, the song starts, the world ain't ending and I ain't never been scared, but I ain't pretending I ain't have to get prepared. So when all the markets turn to bear, I ain't even really care about a dip and be a multimillionaire. So I had to teach people there's another way to trade. You know what I'm saying? You got to long-term invest sometimes. And that's pretty much what happened to me. 2022 ended up being the bottom of the market.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So in November 2022, when Bitcoin hit, I think it was like 15,000 thereabouts US dollars, were you aware it was the bottom? Were you buying in?
doing a little DCAing. I had to pick up the pieces, to be honest with you, right? I mean, I had to kind of figure out how I wanted to balance my portfolio because Celsius took a lot of chips off the table. I didn't just have crypto in there. I even had some USDC in there. Again, you guys, not your keys, not your cheese. Don't do that. But, I learned a valuable lesson that way. I'm still a trader. So I was like, okay, we either got it. I bought the dip on several projects, actually, around that time or all throughout. Like I said, I started DCAing a lot in 2022 into 2023 as well. And, I can't say I sat there and loaded up because I wasn't sure. You're at the bottom. You don't know if it's the bottom. In fact, Bitcoin hit a candle wick down in kind of the middle of the year, bounced, kind of went sideways, came back down again. Its bottom was not actually, I think its bottom was actually before there. But the overall market, stock market, everything, general market sentiment was at its lowest in October, November of 2022. And then it took off ever since then. So yeah, I was DCAing around that time for sure. I wasn't going in as heavy as I possibly could because I had to kind of bounce after getting a lot of chips taken off the table. But and then 2023 it was a lull for a while.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about 2023 now. So overall, 2022 was a very good year for you. You got yourself into the cryptocurrency space and you've had a huge amount of success. People have been in the cryptocurrency space for a decade and they've not had as much success as you have publicly. 2023 was a recovery year. It was quite boring. We slowly started to recover. What were you doing in 2023?
Well, I was still going to some events, right? I'm still part of the crypto community. When they call it a bear market, and I have a song with Altcoin Daily where I talk about this, where in bear markets, we don't call them bear markets, we call it a builder's market. And so for me, I don't have a crypto project, a blockchain. So I was building my brand, right? So I'm like, okay, well, nobody's paying attention, if you will, right? Other crypto folks were, but when the mainstream is not paying attention, you want to be at those events because the people who are there are the real ones, right? So I was in NFT LA and it was way smaller than, when I filmed in real life music video the year before. But those are the most high quality crypto people, right? Because these are the people who are serious about blockchain no matter what. So I'm building my brand as Cassius Cuvée and my YouTube channel and making relationships and doing all those sorts of things when crypto is not just a hype project, it was, the shiny object at the time. So, Bitcoin is down, altcoins are in the gutter. I'm still finding out who's still building, who's still serious, who's really working on blockchain technology. That's what I was doing largely in 2023. Some investing and trading as well, but largely kind of working on my brand, building new skill sets for myself, making more relationships was a 2023. So I was doing some building as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how was the YouTube channel in 2023?
It was cool. I did slow down a bit. I stopped doing my show. Well, actually, the beginning of 2023, I switched over from doing a show where I do interviews like this. I started making music videos. So I started 2023. I went because I go to the events. So I went to CES and I did 2 music videos at CES and I interviewed the CEO like in person at the events. So that's what I started doing was in-person videos, in-person interviews, and then have a music video that I would create on the fly out there in public at their event or wherever we met. And so that's when so Poppin' Crypto is like season 2, if you will. There were like music videos at the beginning of the show. So that's what I started doing in 2023. So it was like whenever I go to an event, there would be somebody I'd interview and some video I'd put on my YouTube channel. It wasn't quite as consistent as far as, every other week or whatever. But, I still made commentary on projects as you push later into 2023, made a music video for ICP, dropped one about Algorand. There's a lot of stuff going on when not to bring up this, but I went on BitBoy's channel and I dropped a music video with AJ Wright's crypto called Just Pay Me an Algo. This is before all that stuff happened with BitBoy leaving Hit Network. I went to Rare Evo, performed there, filmed a music video at Rare Evo. And then all that stuff happened with Ben and all the influencers. Everybody was a whole bunch of stuff. I won't get into it all right now, but I had firsthand witness of it because I also make music for people's channels. So like Ben Armstrong, this is BitBoy Crypto. I made music videos and songs, I should say, for like his intro show. Intro song for his YouTube channel. So I did that kind of stuff for art, for different influencers and that kind of stuff as well for projects. So, I was still, the relationships I had been building would then lead to me making theme songs for them, that kind of stuff in 2023.
So 2024, it was a good year for Bitcoin. So we had Bitcoin's, the low was around 38,000 US dollars. We made an all-time high before the halving, because it was a halving year. We made an actual all-time high of over 100,000. It got to 108,000. There is a B in here. I do apologize. We had a small alt season in quarter 1. We had an even smaller alt season in quarter 4. We had the ETFs. We had Donald Trump run as president. One of the things that he ran on was cryptocurrency. We had talk of the Bitcoin strategic reserve, which has now happened. We had Germany sell its Bitcoin, 50,000 Bitcoin, which I'm pretty sure they'll be regretting. The extended meme season, lots and lots of things happened last year. Tell me, what was 2024 like for you?
Well, 2024, yes, was an interesting year for crypto. So, in the beginning of the year, things were still down. Basically, we got whiffs of memes at first. Okay. Now, it was really February when Bitcoin started to pump, and then March. And then that's when like you said, that first quarter, we made a new all-time high. And so, I really started doing leverage trading hard in 2024. And leverage trading is where you can basically you can lever up, meaning like if I have, just for easy math, if I have $10,000 and you do a 10x leverage, you get a $100,000 bankroll to trade with. So I really started doing hard leverage trading, deep into the roots of technical analysis, and learning new indicators like Market Cipher. Shout out to Crypto Face, put me on Market Cipher. And that's when I said, okay, this is what I really need to kind of hone in my education for teaching folks, as well as like what kind of information I put on my YouTube channel is really teaching people how to trade. I knew personally when I saw all the meme hype and shit coming, I was like, I got nervous, right? You're talking about a person who's lived through the bear market. I seen legitimate projects drop. I was like, people are going to get wrecked. So I made it, and eventually by the middle of the year last year, I made a song called Imaginary Traders, which is a play off Jay-Z song, Imaginary Players, where I make some commentary on what was going to happen on the meme coin market. Even predict the president was going to drop a meme coin, that kind of stuff. All came true, of course, because I kind of am good at reading markets. But I also started teaching people technical analysis. And I kept saying, learn to trade in both directions. So 2024 was hardcore me on the charts, teaching technical analysis, started posting more content like that on Twitter, stuff on Twitter every day. And that was when I really started getting more into the hardcore trader community again. Now, I was that before in 2020, got more distracted by the entertainment and influencer stuff as far as building and stuff. And I was like, I really got to combine the two and kind of hone it down to something that anybody can do, which is trading. Researching projects is cool, but it takes a lot of broad work, which is what I would do when I would interview so many different people. But it's harder to kind of fine tune education on that. And I feel like I can teach people more actionable stuff by teaching them how to trade on the charts. So 2024 was a very technical analysis year for me. Leverage trade. That's when I started leverage trading. I hadn't really leverage traded hardcore before that. And then, of course, we had the election. And that was what pumped everything crazy, right? Literally like the week after the election. We caught fire for the super pump altcoin season. Bitcoin pumped. First it was 90K, then it was 93K, and everyone's like, oh my God, how I would go. Well, we hit 100, and when we hit 100, we were doing the 100K push-up challenge. Shout out to Flop and Groper. He started the 100K push-up challenge. Where basically got to do 100 push-ups a day till Bitcoin sees 100K. So we were doing 100 push-ups a day. I made a theme song for it, and everything like that, where I'm doing my push-ups, and you can fill in the rap and everything for it. Finally hits 100K. Everyone's like, oh my God, how much higher can we go? And so, everyone was hardcore trading. I mean, I know I was going hard on Twitter, YouTube, teaching people how to teaching people how to use technical analysis to help them trade. And 2024 was pretty exciting, obviously, with the market pumping like that.
So how many push-ups can you do? 100 is a huge amount. I mean, I can't even do one. I've never been able to do one my entire life.
Yeah, it's fitness. Again, I'm one of those people who everything I'm doing is I make a song about it, right? That's like the story of my life, right? So I had to do the 100K, 100 push-ups a day till Bitcoin hits 100K. I don't just, you'll watch the video and you'll see for yourself. I don't do 100 without stopping. I don't care how you get there, right? I don't care if you're doing sets of 5, 10, 20, 50, whatever you got to do, get 100 done in that day. And if you do them every day, you're going to make gains. I promise you, and it's more like a thing. Like if you're just dedicated to doing something every single day, you will get better. And it's great because you can be in the middle of trading. Like I'm going to sit down and do my 30 push-ups real quick. Or let's say you can divide it into 33, and 34 push-ups. There you go. There's your 100 right there for the day. You're done. And so, I had to make a theme song about it. It's like a high energy banger theme song, and that's what we were doing. We hit 100K, we could take a little break after that.
Mm-hmm. So you got into education as well. Tell me more about the education side. How were you educating people? Was that through YouTube?
Yes, mostly on YouTube and Twitter. I would say YouTube and Twitter were the two main places. Still would post stuff on my Instagram as well. But in 2024, it was YouTube and Twitter. We'll talk about 2025 in a second. But in 2024, my YouTube channel and Twitter is what I had going pretty hardcore on teaching people how to trade, trading on different platforms like Fimex. I'm a partner with Fimex. So basically, that's where you leverage trade is on Fimex. So that's where you can get, lever up your money 10x, up to 100x on Bitcoin. So, if you put in $100,000, 10x, you can have $1 million trade. It really is a way to get a bigger bang for your buck, but there's also risk to the downside. And that's why I'm here to, help people not lose all their money. That's why I teach it, because it is risky if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And last year, were you still going to all the Bitcoin conferences?
Yeah. Oh, well, I missed Bitcoin 2024, actually. I've taken care of some personal stuff at home. I look after my stepfather. He's elderly and he's handicapped and stuff. But this year I kind of got back out there. So I did not go to as many events in 2024. You could call 2024 almost like an education year for myself. Just hardcore trading every day, looking at the charts 15, 16 hours a day. I mean, just glued to them. I made a song called Join the Market Cipher. And I say that I glued to the charts, got a pee and a diaper, only step away when I get into the booth, and I got them in real MC and a cipher. And I'm talking about market cipher. So basically just glued to the charts every day, trading, teaching technical analysis, talking about it in communities online. What are you seeing? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? In the moment, short term, medium term, long term. So I didn't get out as much in 2024. 2025, I was like, okay, I'm getting back out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, tell us. Let's go on to 2025. It was a good year. A lot of education for yourself. You started educating your audience as well. Let's talk about 2025 now. So we started off the year with a bit of a bang because Trump got in, and this year it has. We've had more bullish news this year than at any point in Bitcoin's history. Again, Bitcoin right now is over $100,000 US. We've had the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve go ahead with 200,000 Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. We've had a lot of countries come in, a lot of institutions come in, buying millions, if not billions putting billions of US dollars into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. This year is the year of adoption. How has this year been like for you?
Well, this year's been exciting. So actually, this year started off kind of crazy, right? So when Trump got sworn in, he announced all the tariffs, and that first tanked the markets, not just Bitcoin and crypto, but also the stock market, right? It had major pullbacks after an amazing year in 2024. I mean, the stock market had been going crazy, and Bitcoin and crypto kind of caught up later to the stock market, right? 2023 and 2024, stocks are going nuts, and then Bitcoin caught up big in 2024. So at the beginning of this year, a lot of stuff dropped. Now, again, anybody who's been watching me, I have been warning everybody, when the stock market drops, crypto drops harder, especially altcoins and especially meme coins. And so, as I mentioned earlier, as I had predicted, the president dropped the meme coin the weekend before he got sworn in. And once that dropped, it was kind of like an obvious top signal at that time. A lot of those meme coins have dropped. I was shorting the hell out of them. I'm literally up 4,000+% on a lot of them. I told everybody who would pay attention to me that you got to learn to trade in both directions. These meme coins are not going to go up forever. Bitcoin, however, stayed awfully strong, relatively speaking. It dropped just below 75K. I called it out on Twitter. I leverage traded it, bought it at 75K pretty hard. And I bought Fartcoin too. But, I posted all that on YouTube and on Twitter. And I started my private Discord group this year as well. So a lot of stuff. I don't want to flood Twitter every 5 seconds with what's going on in the markets. I really do look at it all day long. I got it right here on the charts behind the screen here. And now I have my private Discord group. So in my Discord group, you can join it for free. It's on the link in any of my videos. The general chat, you can join for free. And basically, we're in there. It's not just me. There's other very experienced traders in there. And we're looking at the markets every day, all day. So as I wake up in the morning, right before I go to bed, and throughout the day, people ask questions. We help the new folks. And then we also show our trade setups, what we're seeing in the market. We had a pretty great day 2 days ago after we had that pump. I was like, you guys, things are going to fall. Yesterday, we did a lot of celebrating, taking profits. And, I'm in there every day now in the Discord group. So I still go on Twitter. I still have my YouTube channel, of course. But my Discord group is where, like, if you really want access to me, you really want to, ask questions to Cassius Cuvée or the group, a trading community is something I highly recommend in general, because you get diverse opinion and you kind of get a consensus of everyone who's sometimes having conflicting arguments is all of a sudden bullish in your group, and you kind of trust them and you know their biases. It's usually a good sign. A lot of times the community is correct. I have a lot of real traders in my group. So they're not a lot of goofballs and trolls in my group. I keep it pretty clean.
Let's talk about your community now. You've got an amazing community. They're very supportive. They're very nice. They're very welcoming. They are educated as well. And like you say, you do try to get rid of the trolls as soon as possible. But tell me about your community.
Yeah, so I want my community to be serious folks, right? I know a lot of people think, oh, you make rap songs about crypto, it must be unserious. Well, yes, I like to have fun with what we do. Finance is inherently boring, okay? So I try to bring fun to the space, all right? But when it comes to my money, I'm serious. And again, I can teach you how to make money trading, but my passion is to keep you from getting wrecked. And in crypto, like literally from January, some of those coins are down 90%, 95% even from January. Just for that 3 months down the bottom of April. So you got someone who bought at the top. I feel for him, because I'm like, you guys, I'm telling everybody I can, like, you got to learn to trade in both directions. So the better stuff kind of bounced, had a good bounce. Bitcoin ran back to, again, all-time high again, right? That's why I say never short Bitcoin. I short the shit coins. Mm-hmm. But basically, the community are people who are usually pretty realistic about what's going on. And as a matter of fact, yesterday, a guy who I follow on Twitter, he doesn't have like a huge following, posts a lot of stuff about algorithm. I said, man, join the community because you're like honest. You know what I mean? Like you're pretty honest about your viewpoints. Obviously we're all Bitcoin bulls and stuff. But when that pump happened earlier this week, and we're like, ooh, I want to see if this is going to have real follow through, if it's fake, we got a holiday coming up. I bet on it short after that. I shorted a bunch of altcoins back down. I turned out to be right. And, we're realistic. We're real traders in that group. And so, it doesn't mean everybody agrees all the time, but it does mean we haven't drank the Kool-Aid that we just think it's up only. And a lot of Twitter is bullish only. And it's not that I'm trying to be a bear, but I'm trying to be realistic so people don't lose their money. And I think a lot of my community are realistic traders, and a lot of them are winners. And so that's the type of folks that I want to bring on. And then if you're new, come ask questions. They're all like, they're welcoming. It's a welcoming community. I don't do that talk down to people kind of stuff. We always want to help each other and educate and uplift everyone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Tell me about your family now. So when you first got into crypto, they didn't know about crypto.
No, they didn't know. Nobody told me. That was my whole thing. Just in finance in general, I was always an investor, but you kind of do what you know. We flipped real estate, that kind of stuff in 2016. But I'm like, where were all you guys? Like, nobody knows about finance. And it's one of those things, they don't really teach in school, and not in public school, right? Unless you go to college and learn about finance or something. So it was something that was, I'm like the guy that people turn to now. Anybody has a question about the markets or this or that, like, what's going on in this, not just crypto, just in general, the financial markets. I still keep my finger on the pulse of TradFi as well as crypto, because they're not disconnected. They're still intertwined right now. So, I talk about it all the time. I'm like, look, guys, the NASDAQ is the strongest market I've ever seen. And when it goes up, Bitcoin might go up, but when it drops, crypto's going to fall. You need to watch the NASDAQ 100 at least, the QQQ. Talk about it pretty much every day. I'm watching the NASDAQ, I'm watching Bitcoin, and then I'm watching the tickers that are relatively bullish or relatively bearish in relation to Bitcoin. And when I'm bearish, I short the bad ones. And when I'm bullish, I go along the strong ones. And so, everybody in my family, friends, community, whatever, they usually come to me to ask me questions, and I'm very patient with everybody. I help everybody out I can. I encourage them to join the private group, because then we all discuss it, much easier. Instead of channeling one person, we can all be part of the conversation. But yeah, nobody thinks I'm crazy or anything. People are like, oh, I was in crypto and people thought I was crazy. Like, no one thinks that about me. They're like, okay, what do you know? I gladly tell them, and I always keep it real.
Okay, awesome. Let's talk about what's next for you. So you've achieved so much. You got a lot of success, especially when you first got into crypto in 2021, 2022. A huge amount of success. You've got a successful YouTube channel. You've got a very nice community. You've got all your eggs in a row. What's next for you? What's next for you in 2025?
That's a great question, the Crypto Princess. So I have a lot of big plans. Cassius Cuvée is only at the beginning. I'm going to tell you that right now. And you're absolutely right. I'm setting up my dominoes so I can knock them down in order. My main goal, if there is one main goal, is to try to educate as many people as possible. Okay. I mean, that's like the main goal, right? So obviously you need to get your following up. Appreciate you having me on the show to try to bring awareness, right? And also too, like people will notice I'm not a moon boy. You almost never hear me give price predictions. I'm more talking about momentum and what to look at. I don't think you should chase a price. If the momentum turns and you're a trader, you got to take your profit and get out or reverse, go short. So I'm trying to be very realistic because the markets will humble you quickly if you act like you're 100% confident, right? It's always risk versus reward. These type of things that doesn't make you the best salesman, right? If I went on and I said, we're going to 115K tomorrow, everyone would be like, ooh, is it going to be right or wrong? I'm not the best at being a salesman because I don't want to BS people. I'm watching, I'm telling you in real time, I'm watching every day, all day long. So my goal is to educate as many people as possible. So first of all, we've got the private community. It's only private for if you wanted to upgrade. All you got to do, you can join the private side of it for free. I just want you to use my Femex code to create a Femex account because I want real traders in there. It kind of keeps out the riffraff. Right now, the general chat's open to anybody, but when they come in there shilling, we got to kick them out. But the private information, like the specific market analysis, that kind of stuff is for the verified members. So I'm building that first. What it's leading to, and I guess you're getting a sneak peek of this, I never told me this publicly, but I'm going to be setting up kind of like an education hub, like my own website. And I want people other than just myself to be able to contribute their content there as well if they have trading content. And then we can share information that way because I can only make so much, training content myself for beginners and then more advanced. I wanted to get help from the community. So that's one of the things I'm working on right now. Cassius Cuvée always got bigger plans. I'm always making new songs, new music videos. Shout out to Randy Hipper. We just did a song called Bitcoin Bestie at the Bitcoin conference. I got a new music video I'm hoping to drop tomorrow in 24 hours on my show to Come Up with Cassius Cuvée. So that's the other thing I'm doing. I have a show once a week called the Come Up with Cassius Cuvée. I usually have a weekly recap rap every week, but also we're going over technical analysis, about 1 hour long, live. And I might do live trading. Last week we went over scalping. Tomorrow I'm going to be going over all the features of Femex. You can do copy trading. I'm going to be doing that. Not everyone can trade every day like me, so I'm just going to go on there and trade, and you can literally copy me. You connect your account to my account, and it trades for you. So I've got a lot of things that are basically going to try to help the community. Basically, my business model is set up that I don't win unless you guys win. So it behooves me to teach you how to be a good trader and investor. That would be how I succeed. So that's really what my goal is to help as many people as possible participate in the financial system in a way that we were always left out of it. I want everybody to have an opportunity. It's accessible in ways that it never was 10, 15, 20 years ago and before, but people don't know how to approach it. So I'm going to try to focus more on new folks, bring in people who are brand new. I got to make more content just teaching basic technical analysis, support and resistance, what's a candle, before we even getting to the more advanced indicators. There's a million ways to approach trading. I need to help everyone find out what way works best for them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Outside of crypto, I know you like traveling because just a couple of days ago, were you in Hawaii? You travel quite a lot, don't you?
I do, especially to crypto events. I don't actually travel for fun most of the time, but we make the crypto events fun. So yes, I went to the Bitcoin conference, had a blast there with Jade and Miss Teen Crypto, Randy Hipper, and everybody else who I saw there hadn't seen in a while. I did just go to vacation in Hawaii. That was vacation, but of course I'm still working there. I'm still with the Discord group, and I'm going to take the opportunity to film a music video. So I wrote a song called Crashing Waves, and it's about the meme coin markets crashing, very specific and explicit to how I'm trading it because I'm shorting them. I don't have any qualms in telling you that. I've made a lot of money shorting the meme coins back down, and I have a little bit of salt about them because I think they choked out alt season and legitimate projects. I'm going to get into that more in the future. But, trading is trading. You're allowed to trade whatever the hell you want to trade. Okay. And there's an opportunity in both directions. But I made a music video about it. And so we're editing that right now, me, and I have an editor helping me, but I do a lot of that, pretty much most of the editing myself. So he's just kind of working on that because I'm out of time, just kind of put the pieces together for me, the transitions and stuff. I already got all the clips. I'm hoping, again, 24 hours, I'm hoping to put this out on my live show. So fingers crossed we get it done. And if not, it'll be the next day or so. And so, yeah, there's going to be a music video there, me chilling on the beach, crashing waves, just like these altcoin and basically these meme coins crashing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Cassius. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Let me do that again.
Sorry.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Cassius, for coming on and sharing your crypto journey. I really enjoyed learning about it.
I really enjoy you too. And Crypto Princess, for everyone who doesn't know, she's a big time supporter. She's on here every day. You're working hard. I see you. I appreciate you. Make sure you follow Crypto Princess. Give her a retweet every now and again. You know, she's active in a lot of communities. And we appreciate you. Everybody who's active, we appreciate you guys. And so we want to make sure we show love to the supporters as well.
Appreciate you too.